Good morning. I call this meeting to order. Stand for a moment of silence and the pledge of allegiance and recognize the tragedy of the shooting down in St. Paul, Minneapolis, at the Annunciation Catholic Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
all. Today's proposed meeting agenda, we're going to be pulling number 11.1, the closed session. That will not take place primarily because of the absence of Bruce Messelt. We feel that it would be more important for him to be here, and now that Commissioner Andrew Hulls is not feeling a little under the weather this morning, he will not be joining us either. With that, I'll look for a motion to approve said agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised agenda as stated.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Keisha, anyone for open forum?
There is nobody signed up, Board Chair.
All right, then, moving on to consent agenda. Dan, do you know of any changes or anything of that nature, or is looking for a motion to approve consent agenda?
I have not been aware of anything to be pulled.
Okay.
Hearing no changes, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Felber, second by Commissioner Schumacher. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Announcements and recognitions. First one, acknowledge and recognition of honorable veteran Richard Rauenhorst for his service to the country. Larry?
Thank you, Chair. So ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Richard Rauenhorst, who served in Vietnam from April 1970 to 1971. Our office, one of the services that we do that's a little known service is we try to help veterans get replacement medals. And we were able to get a new medal, the Bronze Star Medal, for Richard. This medal is significant in that it can only be awarded during combat. And it's not something I wanted to just take from the mail and just hand over to him. So even though he was recognized back in 1971, I think it's very appropriate to still recognize him again for his service in Vietnam. So, Richard, you served as an imagery analyst. For those of you who don't know, that's someone that's staring at pictures constantly, looking at imagery closer and closer. And Richard conveyed two different stories where he helped save lives from that imagery. So, unfortunately, Commissioner Hulls is not here today, but Richard, one of the things he did was identified some air defense artillery pieces from the enemy, which every pilot appreciates those being destroyed. And since he was able to identify those, U.S. bombers and U.S. Personnel were able to take out those guns and help save lives. Same thing, I think you also identified a different bridge crossing where they were using barges that the enemy was using to resupply itself. Again, another act that helped to save lives by damaging the logistics to the enemy. So with that, I would like to read the citation for the Bronze Star Medal. If you want to come on. By direction of the President, the Bronze Star Medal is presented to Specialist 4 Richard E. Rauenhorst, United States Army, who distinguished himself by outstandingly meritorious service in connection with military operations against a hostile force in the Republic of Vietnam during the period of April 1970 to April 1971. He consistently manifested exemplary professionalism and initiative in obtaining outstanding results. His rapid assessments and solution of numerous problems inherent in a combat environment greatly enhanced the Allied effectiveness against a determined and aggressive enemy. Despite many adversities, he invariably performed his duties in a resolute and efficient manner. Energetically applying his sound judgment and extensive knowledge, He has contributed materially to the successful accomplishment of the United States mission in the Republic of Vietnam. His loyalty, diligence, and devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Army. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
You can say a couple words if you like.
I would like to say a couple of things. First of all, thank you for allowing this presentation to take place here this morning. Also, I would like to thank Sherburne County for all the help that I got while I was a resident of Sherburne County. And I wish Highway 10 was a little bit easier to go into town on. So now I'm in town so I can avoid Highway 10. But the forestry department helped me out on my 7 acres. I removed numerous weeds. I cleared 4.5 acres of buckthorn, honeysuckle, and eastern red cedar trees and prickly ash. I mean, it was just a disaster. And the forestry department really helped me out with that. Also being able to purchase shrubs at a reasonable price and so forth. Some of the people there were exceedingly helpful. So I definitely enjoyed working with Sherburne County, and yeah, what can I say? Life changes, you get older, and you have to make decisions. I decided to
Downsize.
Downsizing is very painful and challenging, but I'm almost there. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. If you'd like to get a few photos if you have time.
You thanked us. I think the thank you is to you. It's more so to you than to us. Thank you.
Could we get a photo with the commissioner?
Yep, sure.
Yeah, let's step forward up here.
However you want to do it.
Two sticker bars for the okay.
Best light in the center, right on the logo.
Yeah, if you want to go right in front of me, right here. And then a little bit forward.
Did what I had to, did a good job, then got the heck out.
Yes. You did it right.
You're in focus. It's always a good sign.
It's Tuesday, by the way. What's my?
But we haven't had Monday yet.
If you're retired like me, it's whatever day you want it to be.
It's like, what day
Could be
is it?
Saturday.
It's like, what day is it, right?
I'm good with that. Commissioner's perfect.
Looks good to me.
It's,
Yeah, good.
All right.
it's senior discount day at Savers.
That's a big day.
That's a big day.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
And what
you're
I said
welcome.
about Sherburne County is absolutely the truth.
Thank you, sir.
Proud of you.
I do. Most places.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you send it to me, I can forward it.
Thank you.
Next year, everything's full.
Go get that coffee. You're gonna have to stay for the rest of the meeting. We're good.
If you want to. We could, but I might say something.
All right, moving on. We'll receive updates, correspondence, announcements from Assistant County Administrator Dan Weber today.
Thank you, Board Chair. I do have two quick announcements. The first is the AMC Annual Conference registration open today. It's December 8th through the 10th, so please let Keisha know if you plan on going or if you plan on staying overnight. And then secondly, Soil and Water is hosting a Back to the Field event on September 17th from 5:30 to 7:30. They've sent an invite to each commissioner, so let us know if you'd like to register for that. That's all I have, Chair.
Okay. Boy, moving on to the regular agenda, receive an update from Retired Seniors Volunteer Program. Jennifer? Welcome.
You.
If you open the PowerPoint, I think it should just move over to the other screen.
There we go.
As a former substitute teacher, you learn how to technical. Hold on, let's
So-
make it big now. So we look at it up there now.
Presentation, we should be good.
Yeah. Hit your square.
I'll have you do it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Now do the, from the beginning. Thank you. Technology. Thank you for having RSVP here again. We love to come back annually to give updates about this program. But after just hearing Richard's story and seeing your compassion every year for the Sherburne County residents, especially older adults that are serving in our country, but also in our communities here in Sherburne County, and just knowing the support that you all have for these residents is really inspiring. So I just want to thank you for having us here. Excited to share with you some updates about RSVP. As you probably recall, we are a program that covers, it's a national organization through AmeriCorps Seniors, but locally we are serving in Sherburne, Stearns, Wright, and Benton counties. And we've had the privilege of working out of an office here at the Sherburne County Government Center. And in a moment, I'll introduce our program coordinator, Amy Johnson, who is instrumental in just working with the retirees of Sherburne County and helping to connect them to opportunities to be engaged in community and have meaning and purpose and serve and make a difference. So I just wanted to share with you briefly some of our overall statistics in our region. We are supporting, these are numbers from 2024, 1,180 senior volunteers, and those folks gave 131,000 hours back to our region. That number equates to $4.4 million based on the national value of each volunteer hour. And so our county investments back into these programs is significant and of a fabulous return on investment, knowing the impacts that this program has on individual older adults as well as the communities they serve. Speaking of that, we hear day after day that spending time in service goes far beyond meeting those critical community needs. So every year we do a volunteer impact survey. And we had, just this past January, 472 of our surveys returned from our members and found out that 100% of them agree that volunteering helps them feel socially connected to community. And we know how important that is in today's society, that sense of connection and involvement. We also heard that 99% agreed that they've gained a sense of meaning and purpose by being involved in this program, and 98% say that volunteering with RSVP increases their overall health and well-being. In the past 12 months, we did have a record number of folks that joined our program. So we do a personal enrollment where Amy takes the time to get to know each individual and kind of just assesses their motivations and desires to be involved in community, and then matches them to volunteer opportunities. We also have some supports and benefits like transportation reimbursement to help folks get to and from their service, insurance, and volunteer recognition to bring folks together for some social opportunities and thank them for their work in the community. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to Amy. She can share more about the impact that these folks are having in the Sherburne County community, and then we'll go from there.
I'm always short. I always have to move the microphone. Hi, I'm Amy Johnson, and I just did the math. I've been here for 5 months now. I'm the new kid on the block. I started pretty much April 1st, and the amount of joy and connection and heartfelt feedback that I've gotten since I've started has really been pretty overwhelming. If you can look, you can see all the different organizations in Sherburne County, and I've still just tipped the iceberg trying to get to know all of these organizations and the needs and the impact that our volunteers have had on those organizations. So that's all of the 36 organizations in Sherburne County that we currently serve. It's a combination of ongoing opportunities where they might have a set schedule where they're going in, or one-time opportunities where we work specific events in the community and help out. We have a number of volunteers that assist with critical needs at the Care Food Shelf and through the Elk River Senior Dining Program. They provide in-home and community-based services through the Great River Faith in Action. They actually get people transported to and from appointments. And then they also support education from early childhood through adults. And we welcome further exploration with Sherburne County stakeholders as to how senior volunteers can enhance services and support community needs. The real magic to this program that I've seen is we're the match.com for senior volunteers. When you look at, there's a lot of people out there looking for volunteer opportunities who don't know where to start. And there are community organizations that are struggling to find people to fit specific needs. Because we bring them in for enrollment and get to know our volunteers and understand what they want to do, we talk to our community partners and understand what their needs are, and then we make the match. And that's where the magic happens. It's a little video we put together for you.
RSVP matches 55-plus adults with meaningful opportunities, ensuring seniors stay active and valued. Older adults bring wisdom, skills, and compassion to every organization they serve. Volunteering keeps them connected and thriving.
Hi, I'm Janet from Elk River, and today I'm volunteering at CARE through RSVP, and I love all the opportunities that RSVP offers me.
Through RSVP, seniors find purpose, friendships, and a chance to give back to the communities they call home.
Hello, my name's David Berglund. I live in Elk River, and I've been volunteering with RSVP since 2019, and I just find volunteering has been good for my self-esteem, and I know it's good for the community.
Volunteering is proven to reduce isolation, lower stress, and improve overall health for seniors.
Hi, my name is Maureen, and I've been here volunteering for RSVP for probably 7 or 8 years. I love it. We're here as a group today to do a group happiness in action with 3rd and 4th graders. We're waiting their arrival. It's so fun to be involved with the community. One word I could describe is it's so fulfilling for me now that I'm retired. My coworker here.
I'm Megan Hoffman. I'm with RSVP. I've been with RSVP about 3 years. And I love doing happiness in action because it re-energizes me as well as I'm able to share with community.
Hi, my name is Carla, and I've been doing some volunteering with RSVP for about 12 years, and it's very fun, very interesting, and just gives you a whole nother outlook on the community.
RSVP volunteers provide thousands of hours of service each year, saving local organizations time and resources.
Hello, my name is Jill, and I am a volunteer with the AmeriCorps Seniors RSVP program. I'm here today with Marlene and her friends, Guardian Angels. Guardian Angels is one of the over 160 partners that is served through this wonderful program. I have joined this program because it provides me the opportunity to serve those in the community by addressing urgent community needs with distributing food, mentoring youth, supporting veterans, transporting others, and providing companionship to isolated individuals. RSVP plays a vital role in enhancing my mental and physical health. It gives me the opportunity for providing a purpose, and it provides an opportunity to meet many other people in the community that I would have not have met otherwise. I support this program because as America's aging population is growing, it is more important now than ever before.
With your support, RSVP will continue to expand opportunities for seniors to serve, stay healthy, and strengthen Sherburne County.
And now, a real live volunteer, Andy, who's one of our Readers Theater people, and I'll have to say that with me being the new person and the amazing Readers Theater program that runs like a fine-tuned machine, she has been instrumental in helping me learn how to best serve our volunteers. So, Andy?
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for having us here today. Me especially, I appreciate this. This is my technology, so hang on. I joined RSVP 3 years ago after reading about it in an ad in the Star News, and several of my friends had been involved in the Readers Theater program. Now, I'm an English major, speech theater minor, and when I saw an opportunity to do theater, I called immediately and said, that's for me. But I also love what we can do for children, what I can do for children. When we introduce a reading, and you can see all we're doing is reading from scripts, and we use our voices and our faces to get the messages across. There's always a message, as you remember from your childhood stories or any book that you're reading now. There's always a moral to the story. And that is our goal, to get the moral of the story over to those kids. We love reading, and we introduce ourselves as readers. In fact, sidebar, I go to the Elk River Fall used book sale and buy books and give them away for Halloween. And I tell the kids, you can have a book or you can have a piece of candy, but first you have to take a book. And last year, one of the kids looked at me and said, "You're the pig lady." And one of my roles in Readers Theater is to act out the pig. So yes, I'm the pig lady. In any case, whatever we can do to get these kids to read will open their worlds, will take them away from, unfortunately, what we have to open this meeting with. Shame on us for having to pray for our children, when our biggest challenge should be to celebrate those children and empower those children. And that's one of the things that Readers Theater does, I hope. The moment that sparks in my mind is when we have a room of 80 second and third graders, and they are enwrapped. They are silent. They are all looking. They're all paying attention. That's a gold mine, because I don't know what those kids come from in the morning when they come to school, and I don't know what they go home to. I'm betting that a lot of them don't go home to what we consider a happy household. But I hope that when they go home, there's a spark in their mind of, this is a nugget I can carry with me all day. Somebody cares. Shel Silverstein, Dr. Seuss, any of the multitude of books that we have. Those are treasures that we can gift them, and we need to continue gifting them as often as we can. So for me personally, it is a privilege. I love the children, and it is a blessing to me to be able to do this. But I gain so much more. I gain the fulfillment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy.
So this program, I've been blessed to have an opportunity to lead RSVP for several years, and it's just inspiring to have the chance to work with folks like Amy who are doing good, want to give back to our community to help improve us. So with that, just wanted to share with you our revenue and our funding, and to thank you for being so generous to RSVP and for your support of our senior volunteers. We just want to really reiterate what Amy said. If you come across opportunities or needs in Sherburne County for volunteers, please do keep our program in mind for engaging older adults to move the needle forward with whatever Sherburne County sees as needs within your human service opportunities. And now I just want to turn it over to you. If there are any questions or comments for myself or for Amy or Andy, we welcome those.
Questions?
No,
Nope.
I don't. But thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much to get that many students all engaged, as you said. That's probably an amazing feat just in itself. So congratulations on that, and especially as a substitute teacher, you know the difficulty of that task. So that speaks volumes for what you guys are doing.
I just wanted to say the same thing. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to our senior population who values the volunteer time and what they can give back. I think it's just a good partnership all the way around. And thank you so much for looking to reach those young minds and get them sparked and engaged in what reading can do for you, and different things like that. You're totally right. That little spark can carry a young person a long ways, and you just never know when you're going to light it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Andy, for your time. And thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a great day.
And with that, it's a perfect segue into receiving an update from the Central Minnesota Council on Aging. Lori?
Does this clicker work then for me? Okay, great. So thank you for having me here today. I'm Lori Verolson. I'm the director at the Central Minnesota Council on Aging, and we are the designated area agency on aging for the 14 counties in Central Minnesota. So in the state of Minnesota, there are 6 regional area agencies on aging and then 1 tribal AAA that covers the 11 tribes. So our office is in St. Cloud, and we cover down to Sherburne and Wright and all the way up to Cass, Pine counties. So that's kind of our geographical spread. And we're the home of about 183,000 older adults that we work to serve. Just have to. There, okay. So as an area agency on aging, we have 4 key responsibilities. First, we operate on behalf of the Minnesota Board on Aging, the Senior Linkage Line, which as of last week was rebranded. It's now called Minnesota Aging Pathways. But the Senior Linkage Line is a program that really works to help individuals over the phone or in person evaluate their situation and get connected to local community resources that can help them. So this can range from somebody who has been discharged from the hospital and is looking to return home and needs to get connected with some supportive services, to helping individuals through the maze of our Medicare program and helping them evaluate. For example, coming up this fall, we'll be helping individuals evaluate the various Medicare Part D options and helping them apply for those types of programs. We also are a funder. We receive federal Older Americans Act dollars and state nutrition funding, and we work through a process with our board and advisory to determine of the array of services that can be funded through the Older Americans Act, what are the most critical needs in our region, and then we solicit grant applications for them and enter into contracts with service providers. So with the Older Americans Act programs, we touch about 1 in every 6 older adult in our region. And then we work with communities on development of home and community-based services, and we do advocacy. So in an example of advocacy right now, we're working with Representative Pete Stauber's office, and he has introduced the Volunteer Drivers Appreciation Act. And this was actually introduced 3 years ago. We're hoping this year will be the year that we have it passed. And what the Volunteer Drivers Appreciation Act is looking to do is that what we hear from programs that we work with that have volunteer drivers is that they're losing volunteers. And one of the reasons why that they're losing them is because a volunteer driver, if they receive mileage reimbursement, so for example, we fund senior community services in this area to have volunteers that can take older adults, for example, to doctor's appointments and grocery shopping. If they can receive up to the business rate in mileage reimbursement from the funding we provide them, but that individual volunteer, anything over 14 cents, they get taxed on that. And so what we're looking to do is have volunteer mileage reimbursement set at the federal business rate. It was something that went into place years and years ago and has never been relooked at, but is impacting our volunteer drivers base. And so this is something, as I said, we've been working on for about 3 years now, and it is part of the tax reform package, though. And so we're fortunate in Minnesota that all of our congressional delegates have signed on to this, and we're working now broader across the nation for additional support. But that's just an example of advocacy. Just a few general demographics as we set the stage here. So Minnesota, we're home of 1 million older adults. And by 2030, we'll double our population. And right now, we have more older adults than we have school-age children. And that's the first time that we've seen that in our history. And so if you look at this chart here, you'll see the 60-plus and the 85-plus population, and you'll see statewide, just about 23% of the state is over age 60. Sherburne County is one of our younger counties. 17.6% of your total population is over age 60. But you will be where, for example, Cass County is in the coming years. So Cass County, right now, almost 38% of their total population is over age 60. And we're seeing across our nation, across Minnesota, and across our region here, the aging of our population. The 85-plus population is also increasing, and between 2030 and 2050, the 85-plus population will triple. And this is really, the 85-plus population is the primary population we serve with our Older Americans Act programs, and it's also one of the key points that we pay attention to, because this is when individuals tend to start to need services and supports, and often outside of what their family structure is able to provide. And so this is where, as a community, it's important to have a variety of options available so that people can remain in their homes and tap into those needed services. The living alone population, 1 in 4 older adults live alone. 18% of Sherburne County older adults live alone. And this is something that we do know increases with age. So for example, if we look at women 75 and older, 43% of them live alone. And another statistic that we work with quite a bit with communities as we work on dementia-friendly community activities is that 1 in 7 older adults with dementia live alone in the community. In terms of disability, statewide, 30% of the 65-plus population has a disability, and we know that individuals with disability typically have more than one. In Sherburne County, you're a little bit higher than the state average at 35%. Below poverty, 7.3% of Sherburne County's older adults are living below the poverty threshold. What we do know is that the majority of older adults want to remain living in their own homes and in their communities, but to do so, they often need that extra support and help, whether it's transportation, grocery shopping assistance, meals, those types of services. Oftentimes, people think that the majority of older adults live in nursing homes or assisted livings. Only 4.5% of our 60-plus population lives in an assisted living, and that's at a cost of about $45,000 a year. We also know that only 2.4% of older adults live in nursing homes, and nursing homes and assisted livings play an important place within our long-term care service delivery system. Our agency, we do all the pre-admission screens for the state. So anybody going into a nursing home does receive a pre-admission screen. We do about 61,000 pre-admission screens a year. 72% of those individuals that go into the nursing home are going in for under 30 days. So most are going in from the hospital or the ER into the nursing home for short-term rehab. But in order for them to return back home, they do, once again, often need those supportive services, either for a short time or ongoing. So this chart here, what this illustrates is the Older Americans Act funding that came to our region last year. So in 2024, through the Older Americans Act services, we supported about 24,000 older adults and family caregivers throughout our region. We funded $4.6 million to 24 organizations. So with that region-wide, that was about 450,000 meals that were provided to older adults, 20,000 rides to doctor's appointments, social service visits, grocery shopping, and over 10,000 hours of homemaker. So the Older Americans Act services, this started with Lyndon B. Johnson back in the 1960s, and it came along after Medicare and Social Security, and it's really meant to help older adults that need those supportive services. And unlike other services, there's no means testing for it. So there's no income or asset guidelines, and services are provided on a donation basis. So how we accomplish, because we know we can't serve all older adults, and that's not really what we're targeting. I really think of the Older Americans Act programs as that safety net. So we're trying to reach people that are lower income but aren't yet on medical assistance, and we're trying to keep them in that safety, serving as that safety net of services, and that's really who we're targeting. In Sherburne County itself, last year, in 2023, $284,143 of the Older Americans Act went for services to older adults and family caregivers, specifically in Sherburne County. Last year, that was $314,607. This represents about 7% of our region's Older Americans Act allocation. And just over 2,000 older adults and family caregivers specifically from Sherburne County were served last year. So this chart here really just represents specifically what was done in Sherburne County. Through Senior Linkage, we worked with just over 1,300 older adults from Sherburne County, our social workers helping them evaluate their situation, get connected to resources. 8 individuals received 165 rides, 68 hours of chore. This would be things like installing grab rails, minor home repairs, It may be building a ramp, for example. And what I would say is that the Older Americans Act Services is focused on service by volunteers. Now, our providers, because we do see a volunteer shortage, we do work with both providers that most of these are providing a combination of paid staff and volunteers. RSVP is an extremely important partner for the services that our providers are doing, and I think you saw that with the listing as well that they had. The evidence-based health promotion, 19 individuals, 48 hours. These evidence-based health promotion services. This is out of Whitney Senior Center in St. Cloud, and they do provide their programming both in person there, and they have a hybrid option so people can join in virtually. These are multi-week classes such as chronic disease self-management, chronic pain self-management, falls prevention, matter of balance classes, hypertension classes, and so these are multi-week courses that individuals are taking. We have our contract with Catholic Charities for this area, and you can see that 253 individuals received just over 12,000 congregate meals. Our congregate sites in Sherburne County are in Elk River and Princeton, and then we have Catholic Charities provides home-delivered meals as well, 241 individuals with just over 26,000 home-delivered meals. These would be a combination of traditional home-delivered meals that are provided Monday through Friday as hot meals through volunteers, delivery meals to individuals that are homebound. We also, during the pandemic, we started to hear from our food shelf partners that they were seeing nearly a 60% increase of older adults using the food shelf, and often for the first time. And so we worked with Catholic Charities to pilot a program that we now have extended throughout our region. And with the pilot, what they're doing is, for example, in Big Lake, and then back in June, we opened a new site in Monticello. Catholic Charities partners with the food shelves there, and then one day a month, older adults who come to the food shelf, they can take back with them up to 30 frozen meals with them. So it's been a way of reaching individuals who are coming to the food shelf and supplementing the food shelf meals with frozen meals that they can use on a daily basis for that coming month. It also has worked very well for individuals who may not be able to get out to the congregate site on a routine basis, but they also don't need that traditional home-delivered meal delivered to their house on a daily basis. And so it's kind of met both those needs. Caregiver consultation is being provided by Family Pathways and Senior Community Services. 44 hours of caregiver consultation. This would be by a social worker who is working with that caregiver along their journey. So, for example, if they have somebody who has a loved one that's been recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, the caregiver coach is able to provide them with education and guidance throughout their journey versus giving them a wealth of information all up front. So as that loved one may progress through, for example, being not sleeping well at night or of having aggressive behaviors, they can provide tips and techniques during that time. So it's more tailored to their individual needs. And they also are offering support groups. We see that 23 caregivers from Sherburne County participated in over 84 support group sessions and caregiver education events. And then Mid-Min Legal Aid through their Senior Law Project, 102 individuals from Sherburne County received 315 hours of legal consultation last year. So once again, these are last year's numbers specifically for Sherburne County of the impact of the Older Americans Act programming. And with the Older Americans Act program, we do have to have administrative match. And so annually, we do go to our 14 counties and ask them for a portion of our administrative match. Collectively, across the 14 counties, that's $62,632. And we have really have continued to appreciate the support from Sherburne County. How we do the match is that we prorate the match requests based on the 60-plus population of each of the individual counties. So that's why that number for Sherburne County, $5,367. That's why it looks so odd, because it's a prorated. It's prorated. And then we also have representatives on our board as all county commissioners, and Commissioner Danielski serves on our board. I'm sorry. Serves on our board, and we greatly appreciated your leadership. With that, I'll just take if there's any questions that you have about the services that we provide or the impact that's being made.
Mr. Chair.
Thank
you. Yes, I do so much enjoy serving on the board because we're all aging. I obviously am the senior member on this board. And
you had to let us know.
Yep. and we're all aging. And our demographics is also showing that Sherburne County is growing in their aging population. And I appreciate some of the things that you've done to think outside the box, because in our area, there used to be Keller Commons in Big Lake, used to be a 55-plus facility. The dining site operated out of there through Catholic Charities. It's been now transitioned into a assisted living facility, so the dining site is no longer available through there, but that doesn't mean that the senior need went away for those meals. They just are going to struggle to find it. So I'm happy that you're working with the food shelf, and I'm sure there's a need in Becker as well. I know that you said Elk River, Zimmerman, Princeton. Sorry, I got the same issue you do. And then, of course, we know that our area of Sherburne County up by St. Cloud, but there's that middle.
Right.
And I think that we have a gap that we need to look at filling. And, of course, with the loss of some of the federal and state funding, it's not going to be easy to do coming up in the future. So I do appreciate your continued efforts to try to reach those that are in need of services. And sometimes they're not even aware these services are out there.
Right.
That's also the challenge. If you don't have a senior that will go to the food shelf to find out that there's an opportunity to access those frozen meals. And so not every senior drives. But I just wanted to say thank you so much, Lori, for everything that you do to work through the needs of our aging population.
Thank you.
Under challenging circumstances. You didn't touch on the funding.
Yeah, so with the funding, so we have seen, so in 2025, we had both the sunsetting of the ARPA funding, which we had received a fair amount of ARPA funding that had allowed us to provide more services. And then also in 2025, there was a new interstate funding formula that went into place. And with that, we also received additional reduction in allocations. And so we had, that conversion of those two things. And so, with that 45,000 or 45% reduction, we have had to really work with our providers on really looking at how we further target services and supports and prioritizing, and that comes with its own challenges, and it's difficult when you look at community locations. We had, for example, a congregate site at Big Lake, and that did close this at the end of December last year. We did open the frozen food shelf in Monticello, and we have a frozen food distribution in Big Lake. So, as we're looking at reductions, and we're not optimistic for what our fall allocation will be, but we're also, at this point in time, we're sensing that we will receive a slight reduction in our federal allocation. With our meal program, we had been receiving, for our state allocation was around $385,000, and in 2026, we know our state nutrition allocation will be $35,000. So we do know that as we're starting to work now with reviewing the requests for 2026, we'll have some additional hard decisions to be making across all of our services, and we do look at what is available in the communities that's outside of the Older Americans Act, but we also look at if we make a change in a location, for example, with congregate, what will be the impact to the waivered services as well. So for example, here, Guardian Angels, we have our congregate dining is in one of their low-income senior buildings. That is not just serving older adults through Title III, but many older adults are receiving those meals as well through Catholic Charities, through the waiver services. So it's something that we really try to take the various pieces of information together as we're making those hard decisions.
And I just wanted to say, if you put a graph in your mind and you have a line that's going upwards,
Yep.
the amount of senior population that's coming at us, but you have the revenue going this way,
Right.
it just is not going, the math doesn't make sense. And I know that, we're all getting older. We have parents that are getting older, and some of these needs, I think we really need to start advocating for funding for like programs that are very much needed as we go into the future. So that's just my, let's get behind this and find some more funding.
Yeah, so with the Older Americans Act, with the Minnesota allocation, Minnesota receives about $22 million of federal Older Americans Act funding. That equates to $17.31 per older adult per year in the state of Minnesota. And so that's, once again, when I say we have to we really look at how we target the services, but $17.31.
And we talk about wanting to keep our seniors in their homes as long as possible, and they want to stay in their homes as long as possible. These are the kinds of services that help them achieve that. And so anytime that we can try to help that move along, and it's going to take some dollars, and like I said, we're going the wrong way at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's all sneaking up on a couple of us up here, minus Brad. Older age and but we appreciate everything you've done, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for the housing forum last week. I was able to participate in that, and I just commend Sherburne County for really taking a serious look at what the housing and affordable housing looks like for the residents throughout this county, not only now, but really planning for the future. And I think with older adults, there is definitely a shortage in affordable housing options and in subsidized housing options. Through the senior linkage line, we receive calls every day from individuals who are struggling to remain in their own homes, but yet they can't afford that move. They can't afford that move, and that's where programs like what Senior Community Services is doing with some of the grab rails and some of the remodeling comes into play. I did have an opportunity that day to meet with the Habitat for Humanity, and we had a really good conversation about an aging in place program that they're interested in further receiving some technical assistance on. And so, I think there's a variety of opportunities just from connections that were made at those types of gatherings. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you, Lori.
real quick, Mr. Chair, that kind of goes along with, we've got so many organizations that I've referred to as silos, and trying to get all of these organizations and their silos under one roof, so they're aware of each other, and they can start, like you said, making those connections. How can we work together? Instead of doing something over here and someone else is somewhat doing the same thing over there, let's pool our resources and we can make an impact. Yep, thank you. I'm done now.
You're done now. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Moving on. 5.3, discuss and consider county, state, and federal issues, including Big Lake Post Office relocation, proposed state legislative positions for AMC consideration. That would be, Bruce is not here.
Right. We did include a lot of the language within the packet, but I think Administrator Messelt's going to jump on and explain in a little more detail. So Bruce, are you available?
Of course, if you'll let me, so. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
We can.
All right. Appreciate the patience and support here and accommodation. I'll keep it really brief, commissioners. I sent out to you individually the legislative positions for AMC. If you have any comments or suggestions on those, please feel free to get a hold of me and we'll adjust those. Just a couple of updates on those. The one relating to data centers may go through some modification. The Association of Minnesota Counties is looking at not only the issues surrounding the sales tax exemption and how that affected the promotion of any industry in Minnesota, but also there's at least some thought or discussion to look at a similar taxing structure like we have with production tax with respect to solar power generation. And therefore, we could see some movement there where instead of just discussing the sales tax, we have a larger discussion about a production tax in lieu of that sales tax exemption. So I'll keep you appraised as that goes through some further and broader discussions leading up to the fall policy conference. Also, just to note that a couple of you will be asked to speak specifically on a couple of those legislative positions at the fall policy conference. In particular, the nuclear energy moratorium repeal effort, both on Thursday and Friday at policy meetings, and then also the data centers in particular. Shifting to federal legislation, just a note, this was not unexpected, but we did receive notice that we were not included for CDS or congressionally directed spending for the US Highway 10 County Road 11 interchange this year. We kind of expected that again because our first priority was to seek some funding for the jail renovations at the federal level. And so Andrew will put in the new applications for next year's CDSs as we move forward. With that, I'll stand for any questions the commissioners have on legislative activities.
Mr. Chair, I had one real quick question.
Rand?
Thank you, sir. Where are we at on the Big Lake and Becker Post Office issue?
I am going to, once we're done talking about the current legislative activities, I'm going to ask that you and Commissioner Felber discuss it briefly. I'm assuming you'll give me direction to write a letter. You discussed it briefly last meeting, but we wanted it on the agenda so you can give staff formal direction.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody have questions on the regular legislative stuff?
No.
Okay, then let's go right to the post office. So Becker feels they have done as much as they can. There's two post offices that are currently being threatened. I mean, in terms of relocation, which would be Becker and Big Lake. Both of them are probably going to be relocated. Excuse me. The Becker kind of feels like they've hit a wall on that because they're not really getting a whole lot of response back from the feds about relocating it. The biggest problem that I see is that the possibility of relocating both post offices' activities to Monticello, which would make it extremely difficult for people to get over there and conduct any sort of business. Now, I mean, I'm entirely cognizant of the fact that the U.S. Postal Service is losing money. So it makes sense for them to want to close down, consolidate, make some of their operations smaller. But I just think as a group, and whether it's really just sort of an empty resolution or not, but we should have some sort of a letter that goes out to the U.S. Postal Service advocating that whatever plan they're embarking on includes keeping our post offices in Sherburne County. You know, if they had to combine the Becker and Big Lake, if they had to move them someplace else, but at least keep them in Sherburne County and more accessible to the people who live here. They've already closed down a lot of the post office boxes in Big Lake and in Becker. So there are quite a few concerns, and it's just something that I think as a board, it would be a good idea for us to put something out along that line.
Mr. Chairman, just to catch me up over here on the east side of the county, what's the proposed, what are they proposing with those 2 zip codes? Because that really gets people, that'll kind of get people flared up if they start.
The zip codes would remain. It's just it's just where they actually distribute the mail from, where the trucks would originate, and where the obvious problem with your post office box would no longer be in. And see, that would make it, I mean, we all know how hard it is to cross the Monticello Bridge on any regular basis. So even if you're sitting in Big Lake and you got to run over to the post office box to pick something up, instead of looking at, even if it was somewhere between Becker and Big Lake, even if it was in Elk River, you'd be looking at a 15-minute drive. You cross that bridge certain times of the day, it's a half an hour to get back across, to 45 minutes.
Yes, and you're not only crossing that bridge, but where their post office in Monticello is located is down on 7th Street. So you have to go all the way through not only the stoplight on 11 and 14, and then you cross over and you got the other stoplight that's on River Street. Then you got the other stoplight that's on Main Street, and then you got another stoplight on 7th. So that would take you more than likely, depending on traffic, it could be up to half an hour to make that trek. Now, when I was in, I counted 11 postal vans in the parking lot in Big Lake the other day. And I don't know if they were all back yet, but they got a lot of routes. There are 11 to 12 routes, I think. Don't hold me to that exact number, but they're not a small routed post office. Then you've got Becker, who I'm sure has a good number of postal vehicles and routes as well. You move them all over, and to my understanding, I'm not aware that Monticello has the capacity.
That's a concern that I've heard voiced also. Exactly.
do
that,
this.
is that Monticello wouldn't have the capacity to do this efficiently.
No.
Right? So, I mean, once again, we can't tell the feds to do anything, but we could ask them nicely to leave it here and to make sure that we have, still good quality postal service.
Well, what is frustrating is that the Big Lake Chamber had a chamber meeting with Congressman Emmer, and he was just as frustrated because they're not hearing anything.
Right.
And we're working with Tina Smith and Amy Klobuchar as well. And when they ask about these things, they get hardly any response back. So they're just, they feel just as frustrated because they're not getting the information that they're asking for as well. And where does this make sense? And I agree, somewhat, it's important for cities, the sizes of our cities here in Sherburne County, to have their own post office. And if you're going to take something somewhere, why aren't you considering the Elk River post office? Like to your point, Commissioner Felber, keeping it in at least Sherburne County, but I want to keep these post offices in their respective cities.
Preferably, yes, but
yes.
At least in the county, if they have to combine them or whatever, because we're certainly not going to get smaller. Right? The population is going to go up. We're trying to attract industry to this area, and all those little things in our infrastructure affect our ability to attract industry, businesses, and residents. So I think the best thing that we can do would be just to at least have a letter written on behalf of the board, send it up, and see if we get any response, or at least then we're weighing in to what extent for whatever value that has. I mean, Individually, I've voiced on it. Individually, I've contacted legislators, and, you know, we're all at that point, so.
And speaking for the post office that I do know in Big Lake, that I do have a PO box after the business, and I'm in there quite frequently to do business. That window is very, very active, and I have no doubt that Becker's is the same way.
Yep.
And I'm sure Monticello's is the same way. So to put all that stress on one entity with the amount of population that we have in the circle, it doesn't make sense to me, sorry.
It would have to be a much bigger facility.
And I don't know that they have the room. I've heard that they thought they owned the land next to them. It sounds like they don't. I don't know where they're gonna expand to.
Board Chair, Bruce has something he'd like to say.
Bruce?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. And first of all, I apologize for the truncated label. It was intended to be Becker and Big Lake.
No
But
problem. You
yeah,
got it.
with the board's direction, I can put together a letter. I'll work with Hannah and Greg on that and have it ready for the board chair's signature if that's what you'd like to do.
That'd be fantastic.
And I'll just say one thing. I think about the size of Big Lake and Becker, and Clear Lake's post office is as big as Becker with 600 people, and that's still open. With the one that all of the routes are shot out of Clearwater, which is 3 miles away. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like having the post office in Clear Lake, but to lose them in Big Lake and Becker, for what reason? If you wanted to save money, logistically, it doesn't make sense. So that's all I got to say, but you have enough direction to write a letter and get back to us, that'll be great. Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We're gonna recess the regular board meeting?
Can I interrupt?
No.
Originally, the RBA was written for an approval to approve the state legislative positions for AMC consideration.
Oh, so you wanted to go back and.
Oh, so you want to approve that, what Bruce wrote up in the red line?
Yeah.
Yeah,
According to the
okay.
RBA, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve that as presented.
I second it, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Danielowski, second by Commissioner Schubacher. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Same sign. We're moving on. Now I'll recess the regular meeting and open the Regional Rail Authority meeting. And I need a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda of the Regional Rail Authority.
Motion by Commissioner Danielowski,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Schubacher. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, consider approval of the Regional Rail Authority meeting minutes from April 15th. Need a motion to approve them.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Schumacher, second by Commissioner Felber. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Consider approval of the proposed regional rail levy of 2026. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today, we need to set the maximum levy for the regional rail. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts right now with trying to get bus service to Elk River and Big Lake, but all those expenses will be covered by the local option sales tax. So staff is recommending a regional rail levy of 0 today.
That's a
And we need that approved by both the regional rail and the county board. So we'd start with the regional rail.
Mr. Chairman, I'd approve resolution number 090225RRA-60, setting the preliminary levy of the 2026 Rail Authority at $0.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Schumacher, second by Commissioner Danielowski. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Now we need to approve it by the regular board. That will be in the later meeting, right?
Well, you close the regional rail, and it's the next item on the agenda.
Okay. Need a motion to,
Make a motion to close the Regional Rail Authority meeting.
Second.
second by Commissioner Felber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That's the easiest meeting we have. All right, now I'll reconvene the regular meeting and consider approval of the proposed regional rail levy as recommended by the Regional Rail Authority. We need a
So
motion.
moved.
Moved by Commissioner Danielowski,
Second.
second by Commissioner Felber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner correspondence, committee reports, upcoming meetings, and future agenda items. Greg's going first.
Okie dokie.
You got 2 minutes.
You always say that. Let's see. Here we are. September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, Blood Cancer Awareness Month, Sickle Cell Awareness Month, Deaf Awareness Month, and Sepsis Awareness Month. I did attend a panel on a webinar on Behind the Panels. It was a program on how to develop solar that was put on by Illinois University. 919, excuse me. I went to the Elk River landfill with to observe the inspection with June Volkers and Hannah Fagara from from property. And we went up on a tour with Ralph Collins, who's a district manager. I'm just having a whole lot of trouble talking this morning. It's a super interesting space. I know the rest of you guys are going out there soon. I just went on to see how the inspection went. We did the inspection of the property, and then we did take a walk out into the bog to take a look at a couple of the monitoring wells, which is also really interesting. One of the things that's really cool about the landfill is those closed cells, the plantings that they're using absolutely rival, if not exceed, the number of pollinators you'll see on a good prairie planting. I mean, it's just covered with butterflies, bees. There's a ton of eagles eating at the landfill, which is kind of interesting. What looks like thousands of seagulls. I'm sure it's just hundreds. They've got really good containment going out there, and they're doing a tremendous job of compressing it. They've got a big compression machine that is compressing the waste that is delivered. That maximizes, it's good for them and it's good for us. By maximizing their airspace, which is the vertical and horizontal space available for the waste, by maximizing that, they keep the cells going longer, and obviously we use up less land overall in the long run. So it's a good for them, good for us deal. You guys will probably really enjoy that out there. At least, I don't know. I really enjoy waste management, so it was great for me. I went to Two Inlets Park interpretive event. It was really great. The app that we have that they put these little plates on the log. You download the app, and when you shoot the QR code on there, it will tell you something about a native plant in this area. It was really neat to see people learning about how common plants could be used. Some of those plants aren't being used, like very few people make sumac tea, but it is something that people used to eat, and it's a good source of vitamin C, for instance. One thing that did pop into my mind is something that we have had some further conversations while we're out there. We may need to be more aggressive about getting our buildings out there down. We may not be able to wait for the grants, but that's something for further discussion down the line. Housing Summit. The Housing Summit was fantastic. I think we did some very interesting exercises, and I think the program will continue to be beneficial. Went to Orrock Township meeting. A lot of discussions about easement issues and the Eagle Lake Landing, which keeps coming back up. I did watch the CMRP meeting. I'm sure Rhiannon will talk more about that. Tri-County, Pope Douglas tonnage is on track. The tipping fee went up, and an interesting thing for all the citizens is there will be fix-it clinics in Becker in November. They have people come in who can fix a variety of things, ovens, clocks, mending your clothes, so you can get, it helps you extend the life of some of this stuff that's around your house, which I think is a really great program. Caught the end of the SWCD tour, just the award ceremony part. Then I was able to attend the SECB meeting, State Emergency Services Board. One of the things that we're working on with the MASB and the SECB is still trying to get funding to enhance school security, still trying to get mapping done for all the schools so that police response is more measured and is more accurate when it gets there. And these are things that absolutely need to be funded in the next legislative years. I went to a MAT meeting. That was an interesting discussion on township issues. Basic constituent issues, County Road 75 is still a big one. The landing, I think we're making some progress on that. And one thing I do want to mention, that it's just the fatalities in Florida brought to mind, the fatalities involved in illegal alien driving a commercial vehicle. In the state of Minnesota, we have been issuing licenses to illegal aliens. And people think, well, maybe not CDLs. I don't know how many, if we have issued CDLs to illegal aliens in the state of Minnesota, but your Class D license allows you to drive a motor vehicle up to 26,000 pounds. And if you've ever seen a small passenger vehicle weighing in around 4,000 pounds hit by a 26,000 pound truck, it's not a good thing. So, I mean, I think that's something that the legislature needs to look into and put a stop to this for public safety reasons. One other thing I want to mention is that people need to stop the rhetoric of hate to an extent. I mean, there's so much stuff, Republicans are not fascists. Traditional Christians are not oppressing anyone. We have to stop the rhetoric where it's okay to beat them up or it's smash them in the face or, to quote a prominent Minnesota politician, kick the asses of Trump supporters. We have to stop that because that type of rhetoric pays into the mind of the mentally ill and gives them a target for their internal hatred. They hate themselves, they hate the world, and we cannot keep giving them targets. And that's all I got to say on that.
Wow. You didn't make it 2 minutes, though.
I did not make it 2 minutes.
But he was close.
He was close. Yeah, we'll give it to you. You just squeaked by. Brad?
On a lighter note, welcome back to our students today in Minnesota. We're glad that you guys are back in the educational system and back to learning for our new generation.
Cool.
I just spoke on a road issue that we're having in Zimmerman that was just ongoing. We did open the roundabout in Zimmerman on 45 and County Road 4. It is beautiful. Appreciate the work. People are very thankful to our county board and our public works staff for getting that project done and on time. I move on to the MDH adult meeting that I attended with Chairman Gray. That is I'm glad that I'm second in that position, and thank you guys for the county board for putting me in that position to learn many more things than I'd ever imagined that I could learn in a single meeting in that interesting area. I thank the treasurer for, our auditor treasurer for putting together the gravel tax spreadsheet that I had requested and that she had sent out. That I've not got to talk to her about it in detail, but it's very helpful for the future and different things that we're looking at just to help us explain it to our constituents across the county. I feel really good. I spoke to the mayor of the city of Princeton. He is absolutely thrilled with the work that the Myers company had done on the project that they had worked on to getting finished in Princeton. He said that he goes to the meetings and then also goes through the project just like we did at the luncheon. And they did a fantastic job, and he wants to relay it back that they're super thrilled for that. I attended the Princeton, I think I might have said that, the school board meeting, because I can't remember all the days blend together, but the school board was thrilled that we were on schedule to get that project done for opening of school today. I attended the airport meeting in St. Cloud with Commissioner Rayanne. That was fantastic. Having us both there, I think, was a breath of fresh air, to help that board. Rayanne will speak more on that. I did the same thing, as the big supporter of airports, especially since Princeton, where I came from before. And so attending that meeting was wonderful. I made a really nice post on that. I shared that with Dan and Bruce. And then I attended the planning and zoning meeting. That was that evening. That meeting went fantastic. It went well. It was so smooth. I think at the end, they used all of these great words of smooth, streamlined, fast, efficient. And then at the end, they said Gary wasn't there. I don't know which Gary. I haven't met all the Garys in Sherburne County yet, but they just said Gary. So I don't know, but it went really well.
I feel that's a dig.
I'm not sure because I haven't met all the Garys yet, but I'm working on that. And then I spoke with the city of Zimmerman and the city of Baldwin on the tobacco ordinance update to prepare them for where we are, and so that they're prepared to take over that process so it won't come as a shock and a surprise. But I attended meetings individually with those communities regarding that. And then that's it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
One thing I forgot quick.
Go ahead.
I went to the ISD 728 Community Partners meeting. They're discussing growth, issues with special ed compliance, and then they're changing reading back to a phonics-based approach, and this is probably the most important thing. Football in the district is going to be at 6 o'clock, not 7 o'clock from now on.
Friday night game.
Friday night lights at 6,
think it's
not
Wake
7. So,
Cool. We were playing Wake Park.
Rayanne, you're 2 minutes in time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Had my EDA meeting on the 21st. Basically, we just had Bolton and Menk made a presentation on behalf of Central Minnesota River Partnership and where we're at in regards to the process of working through the different studies and what we're trying to do to incorporate a partnership with businesses as we move to some point to get revenue to help us advocate for the needs of some changes in regards to Highway 25 between Interstate 94 and Highway 25 between Monticello and Big Lake. Also attended the Airport Authority meeting that Brad alluded to. Very good meeting. Just to watch them around that table and how knowledgeable and serious they are on advocating for a regional airport, I think was very impressive. We definitely have our regional airport in very good hands on that authority. So, and when it comes to their budgeting, they slave over that budget, not unlike what we do. So if there's an ask that's going to come, they definitely have looked at every aspect of why they need to request what it is they're looking to continue to grow that regional airport and what it is that we all know that it can be. Had a Big Lake Chamber event with Congressman Emmer that I alluded to. That was held at Willie's on the Water. Definitely was a lot of opportunity to get some of our issues in front of him. And so I appreciated that. And then on 8/25, attended the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee meeting. That was a very good meeting. We had a lot of good people around the table in various aspects of what it is that our zoning ordinances, how they affect them and what they're trying to achieve in building and different things like that. So we're going to be reviewing that. That was just the first meeting of a few. Also that evening attended my options board meeting. And then on 8/26 had the Big Lake Chamber meeting. And that was where Brian Fleming, our economic development person, made a really good presentation to the Chamber Board in Big Lake on what it is that we're trying to do, make aware of what some of the opportunities are for the business community, and it was very good. And then Senator Matthews was there too to give an update, so it was a very good chamber meeting. And that afternoon was the Sherburne County Housing Study. There again, a lot of great people in that room, basically looking at how are we going to move the needle on what our housing needs are, what part that they can be involved in. And we had so many, as what we were talking about with Lori in regards to the different silos that were in the room and how the connections were able to be made as to how we can all come together to move that needle on our housing needs. And we have some big housing needs coming at us. So that was good to see that collaboration. 8/27, attended the St. Cloud Airport meeting with our regional members that we are Benton, ourselves, Stearns, and St. Cloud. They're all part of the partners that are involved in the regional airport. And so just discuss some of the issues and some of the things that they're looking to have conversation about. So we are going to have another meeting to address where the different issues are. And Mr. Chair, you can probably elaborate a little more if you choose to, because our board appointed myself and the chair to be in attendance on those meetings and have those discussions. So that is where we're starting out at. Also attended that evening the Big Lake Township meeting, and the next 8/28 was the CMRP meeting. That one is, we are looking, we have two entities that meet at the moment. It's our CMRP partnership meeting where we are working to wind down that partnership as we move into this Board of Directors of the Central Mississippi River Partnership. So this is a process that is going to take a little while, and at the partnership meeting, we did get an update on where we're at on our Pell and Tier 1 studies from Andrew Witter. Also had a brief strategic planning discussion on how we're going to continue to move forward, and just did some regular housekeeping business at that one. So, and then that next day, the Tri-County Solid Waste meeting that we had, and I won't elaborate too much more because Commissioner Felber covered that very well. That's it.
That's it.
Not too bad.
That was perfect.
Yeah, today, I just thought this is a little trivial. It's Telephone Tuesday.
Okay.
What that means, I'm not sure, but pick up the phone and give somebody a call. If you still have a landline, might be a good thing. And this probably just pertains to Brad. It's National Pierce Your Ears Day.
Yeah.
So if you want to jump in there and join that, you can do that. Other than that, soil and water conservation, water testing, had on the 19th. I encourage everyone to have their water tested, if you're residential and have well water. It's important to give you a baseline of where you're at. Attended the same night I attended the Clear Lake Township meeting. 8:20, I went to the Parks and Trails Advisory meeting in Island View. That's only 4 miles from my house, so that was a perfect one to go to. I also did the Tri-Cap Bus Garage ribbon cutting that night, which I thought they've got a nice new facility for buses that's long overdue. They're gonna have a wash bay in there and things like that. So didn't realize that 70% of that is owned by MnDOT. 30% is owned by the Tri-Cap, so that was interesting to me. The Adult Protection Team meeting, that's riveting discussion. I always find that. I didn't know that took place. To me, it's just fascinating. I know it's what they do, that group of people, and is immensely important and yet challenging to say the least. On the 21st, I did the Tri-Cap Board of Directors meeting. On the 25th, Tom Emmer's staff was here, Liz Steinbau. Our staff did a great job on presenting the green screen and what the challenges of all of that are. I think it opened up her eyes to bring back to Representative Emmer that it's a trickle-down effect of, you can't keep feeding us stuff to do with outdated technology. Something has to be done. I did the Public Works Summer Picnic at Big Lake Lions Park with that group. I did the airport meeting with Rayanne on the 27th. That's going to be the 4 entities I think are going to get together. Bruce, Mike from Stearns, Monty from Benton, and Tracy from the city of St. Cloud, and put together some verbiage that would be possibly a memorandum of understanding of how we move forward with the airport. I don't think we want to rewrite the whole joint powers agreement. But I think the airport, and Brad, as you know, and I'm sure Andrew feels the same way, that the airport's a vital economic driver of the area. And the 7 or 8 people that are on there, 3 of them are from Sherburne County, 3 of them are from my district. I have the utmost confidence in all of them to do the right thing for the airport. That same day, I went to the Midnight Open House on Highway 10 from the Haven Township to St. Cloud. That is beginning right at County Road 65, if any of you know where that's at. The new crossing, they're gonna put there taking 2 railroad crossings and making them into 1. Then on the 28th, I did the Soil and Water Conservation Tour. They had a drone that was probably 6 feet in diameter. Seeding fields, that was fascinating to see that go up. And I know how I fly my drone, so I stayed back when the blades started spinning on that one. But he's a lot better than I was. They also did the shoreline, the native prairie grass, and tree planting. It just shows the Soil and Water Conservation District how important they are to the environmental issues that are going on, and the diversity of their projects, I think, are immense. they get the most bang for their buck of anybody that's out there, grant money and all of that. They work on a shoestring budget, and I think what they provide and what they do is fabulous. So that's all I've got. Anybody else?
I just wanted a quick add, Mr. Chair, when you were talking about TRICAP and 70% being owned by MnDOT, that's part of the challenges that TRICAP faces for the communities they serve, is you have to show a need to MnDOT. And I've said this many, many times, that it's frustrating because you go on their website as a person that might be looking to take advantage of a TRICAP opportunity, and it will clearly tell you what they're available for. And you have to be denied. So if you don't go any further than that and make the request, you don't get denied. So then they can't show MnDOT that there's a need to fund something. So it's really a hard, challenging process to actually get some of the services that you know your community needs because of the way it's set up as to, so I've often said, we need to put together a denial campaign. Please call and get denied so you can show there's a need for that service to MnDOT. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then we're going to recess the regular meeting and open the special community health board meeting.
I would move that we approve the regular agenda for the Special Community Health Board meeting.
I didn't even have to ask.
I'll second.
And we have a second by Commissioner Danielowski. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We're officially open. Number one, consider approval of the minutes.
I'll move that we approve those minutes.
Moved by Commissioner Felber,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Danielowski. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed. Receive the Community Health Services Administrator's bi-monthly update. Welcome, Nicole.
Good morning. I do have just a short, actually, it's not the tobacco one just yet.
No, not yet, no.
Up in the top one. Perfect. Just a short update for you this morning on just this general, and then we have 2 resolutions that we'll address here shortly. Don't think my clicker's working today. Thank you. So just a couple of emergency preparedness updates. Wanted to let you know that Centricare has been a grant holder through the Minnesota Department of Health for many years for our healthcare preparedness coalition. And they have recently decided to not renew that agreement and will be looking for a new fiscal host. So that is really all the health systems in central Minnesota, as well as nursing homes and public health, which are part of that coalition. So they hopefully will have a new fiscal host by next month, but that is a significant change for our region.
Okay.
And then as we have also been reviewing what our roles are for central Minnesota with public health emergency preparedness, we've been reviewing some mutual aid agreements, and we have found that in the emergency management agreement, it's really not specified out that public health is included in that agreement, and so we have been looking at drafting our own agreement across the central region, but that would be modeled very much closely to the emergency management regions.
Mr. Chair, quick question. Or comment, I should say. This, what we're seeing in front of us in regards to the Centricare ending their contract with MDH, and this is really huge because Centricare is a big player in our local area. We've also been receiving that they have eliminated a position that was very active in our region in regards to attending a lot of the different like sub-coalition meetings, just a ton of different things that this person did will no longer be there. I mean, so this is basically, as I'm viewing, Centricare is preparing themselves for what they know is probably coming in regards to having to reduce their budget because of reduced funding possibilities. And these are just all trickle-down effects from that we're going to be noticing, and they're going to be huge impacts. Because I don't know who hopefully someone will step in and fill that void, but I'm not quite sure who's big enough to do it. But that's just my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I will keep you posted once I hear any more information. And just one other thing, our emergency management regions are different than the public health regions, so it's not quite such an easy fix just to add in public health. So we work with different groups apparently across the region. Keisha, can I have you go to the next slide? Sorry about that. Quick update on Family Resource Centers. Just so you're aware, Main Street will be opening the Family Resource Center at Liberty Elementary School in Big Lake this month. And so they're going to have routine times at that elementary school, both Mondays and Thursday afternoon. So they're very excited about that. It sounds like the school district and parents in that community are really excited to have that available in Big Lake. And then later this month, Julie from Main Street and myself are participating in a presentation for the Supreme Court Council on Child Protection, and we'll be just talking about the processes that we took here for both the Elk River location in Big Lake, as well as kind of our beginning processes with the St. Cloud 1010 building. So that's part of the discussion, and we're excited to see that. Okay, Keisha, next one. Many months ago, I think I had talked about producing some district data books, and I know you had a summary from RSVP this morning who talked about their AmeriCorps work. Well, this was an AmeriCorps project through one of our public health members, Annika Peterson, and she really kind of took on some roles in one of our foundational areas called assessment and surveillance. So she put together some of this work, and part of that responsibility includes collecting data to guide public health planning and decision-making, using data from a variety of sources, analyze disparities, analyze root causes, support surveillance to detect emerging issues, and work with partners to support community-led data processes. And the next slide. So there's two resources that she used. Both are public resources, but she did some customizing work to get district-level information for you. So Minnesota Compass is one of those, and that's really some high-level demographics. So age, sex, race, ethnicity, and language, income, education, housing, and employment. And then the second part of the data book is around health trends across communities. And that looks at the prevalence of health conditions from electronic health records. So not all conditions are in those in that data set, but they have been growing and evolving since I even spoke to you last time about that. So more conditions have been added. So just, we've included what we thought were opportunities of interest. So not everything's included, but areas where you may want to do some more exploring. So let's see, they mostly align with your districts. There are a little bit of overlap just because of how the census tracts and the zip codes line up. But for the most part, we think it's pretty accurate with what you represent. You will note that there are some areas that are blank or with an S for suppressed, and that means there wasn't enough data or there's no data to support that. All right, and if you want to go to the last slide, I think. I'll hand out your books here. I didn't want you to get too distracted, but certainly they're big. So when you look at these on the left, this tells you which geography was checked. So when you go in, if you want to go into the site, you can choose what areas you want to see highlighted in the map. So for this one was the Elk River District. Up on the top right, we looked at not only where we're at in this district for kind of prevalence, but what the statewide prevalence was. So that circled number up on top, 5 to 30%, that's what we saw across Minnesota. But for this specific district, the second circle on the right there provides the prevalence for the commissioner district. So for that district, about 20%. For the state, it ranged from 5 to 30. And then the split for the demographics on the right side, so race, sex, and age. My data people say if there's a 2% difference between the state and the district level, that would be something that we would say is significant or worthy to note, so about 2% difference. And then just so you know, that graphing is for the entire district. You can't just segment out like the north region that has the darker saturation color. Those 3 areas for the comparison are state versus the entire district. All right. And then just, just a few other things to be thinking about when you're looking at this. So for the HTAC, it is only those diagnoses that were actually recorded in the health record. So if you went in to your healthcare provider and you talked about some depression or anxiety that you were having, but there was no official diagnosis, that is not included in here, only an official diagnosis. The 11 healthcare systems, so we think that it covers about 90% of the population, but it's the large players here in Minnesota: Allina, Centricare, Children's Minnesota, the VA system, Essentia, Health Partners, Hennepin Healthcare, Mayo Clinic, Fairview, North Memorial, and Sanford Health. So all of those systems agreed to collaborate on this project and put their data together. And like I said earlier, the tool is evolving. They've added new conditions. They've taken some conditions down, but they're really evolving how they can use this information. Just wanted to highlight again a few activities that are coming up. So the SUPS meetings, the First Steps Joint Powers Board, STIR meetings, and then the SHAC, or the Statewide Community Health Services Advisory Committees. Just letting you know that those are there. We welcome any commissioners to attend, but we do have designees for most of those. And should you have questions or want to talk about any of them, please go ahead and contact me. Then there's just a couple of terms to know. I don't need to go through these, but if you're looking through those data books and you have some questions, that's available to kind of use as you're looking at that. And then the next slide, for the Minnesota Compass, we did that custom report. You can log in and look at the custom report for each of your districts so you can get the entire amount of information, not just the segmented information we took out. And then following this meeting, I can send out district data books for everyone. They're just too big to send in one email, so if that is a desire from the board, I can send those out as well, so you have everybody's data books. And just to note, we no longer have Public Health AmeriCorps support. That grant funding was ended this year. We had 4 members over the years, and one of them worked with us for 2 years, and it was a really good experience for us. So we're hoping in the future that if it should come back, we would absolutely consider having another AmeriCorps member at our county.
I just, this has been kind of my pet project for a while, that community health is an important thing to me. But I think all of this, this is District 4 for me, but it's not perfect. It's close, but it gives all of us, each individual district, what's happening, what we can make improvements on for the long term. I mean, this isn't initial instant gratification. This is long-term things that we have to consider and think about, statistics that they've data mined more things than I thought they would, that are out there per our district. So this is just a snippet of what's happening in our district, and I think everyone should, it's a lot to remember, but it gives you an idea of what's happening in your district and what you think we could come up with that would improve public health in your district, or anything. I mean, from housing to health, to physical activity, to whatever it might be. But I think this is just a initial stepping stone for what could actually, community health we could actually do as commissioners. This is there. So I know this is bedtime reading for all of you, but don't fall asleep before you finish it.
And Mr. Chair, thank you for offering to send out every commissioner's district to us later, because I think it's good that we are not only aware of our districts, but we also know what our fellow members are looking at. And it sounds like they're all kind of so
Different.
close that, well, somewhat different, but yet close enough to where we need to be making decisions as a whole.
As a whole, yeah. Perfect. All right.
I would only add one other thing. So this is definitely quantitative, right? There's numbers and percents and things. There's also the qualitative part, and we do work with our community, hear their stories too. What does this mean to you, and what is going on from your perspective, or different partners, and engaging them and what they're hearing, and how they're maybe helping to support some interventions. So there's always two parts to it. Numbers and data speak one part of the story, but then also really engaging with community, hear their stories is another piece.
Yep. Plus, I think this is a good baseline that we're aware of now.
Correct.
And going into the future, we can just see how we're trending as things progress and how things are going to need to be addressed.
Yeah, and we have to realize too, some of the dates here, 2018 to 2022, they're not absolutely perfectly current, but it gives you an idea of where things are trending. Cool. Thank you. Oh, we have to do that, Keith? I need a motion to approve the bi-monthly update from Nicole.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Commissioner Daniela, second by Commissioner Felber. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, consider approval of a resolution 090225-AD 3237 to abate a public health nuisance on Helen Way, Big Lake. Nicole?
Correct. So I believe John sent out some information for the board last week for you to review. So this is in regards to that information. So basically today, this resolution is looking for the board to adopt the findings from the CHS administrator that the public health nuisance did exist at 18956 Helen Way, and that the order to abate is authorized under Minnesota statute, section 145A. So I'll review just kind of a high level of some of the events that happened, and then I can ask my partners here in administration to have any other comments or needs. So back on March 5th, I got a call from local law enforcement that disclosed that they had discovered a clandestine lab at this home and that the homeowners were arrested. The preliminary assessment was that DMT, or I'm going to try to pronounce it, dimethyltryptamine, was being manufactured at that property. And so I had consulted with Kathy Heaney, who was the county attorney at the time, and we agreed that we should post that property for a clandestine lab under 152.0275 subdivision 2. So there was a variety of activities that happened from that point on. Chemicals were removed by a company. We reviewed some of the statutes and policies and documentation we had here. Other information that was pertinent to this event was that there was other drugs and chemicals found on the property. So besides DMT, methamphetamine, clonazepam, diazepam, alprazolam, cocaine, psilocybin, and various pipes and needles. And based on that information, we felt comfortable that a public health nuisance did exist, and we issued an abatement letter to the homeowners. What we found is we started to dig into what DMT production looked like, is that it was very rare across Minnesota and pretty rare across the U.S. We had difficulty finding folks that had been dealing with this. But what we did do is consult with West Central Environmental Consultants to ask about a process moving forward. What should we know? We talked with the Minnesota Department of Health, EPA, MPCA, biohazard specialists, and what was determined is that methamphetamine is also used as a proxy. The residue is used as a proxy for any chemicals used in illegal manufacture. And so we moved forward with the assessment and testing of that property for methamphetamine. Those results came back, and the range was a 0.02 to 633.96 micrograms per square centimeter. And the state threshold for methamphetamine residual for remediation is 1.5. So there were 3 areas that were above the 1.5. Those were located in the garage, the loft, and the HVAC system. Testing throughout the house was below the 1.5, and the EPA recommends that voluntary cleanup be considered for that, but it's certainly not required. In the meantime, we received quotes from 2 different vendors for cleanup, the whole scope of the property, so the garage and the home. And then we also had just proposals for the garage. And so we're at that point now that we're looking for the board to approve the resolution if you agree with the findings and want us to move forward. We would say that we have abated this nuisance if the post-testing comes back as less than the 1.5 for those high-level areas.
Okay, that's a lot to absorb. Don, you want to touch on that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if I may, just in reference to the additional information to be in front of the board and to incorporate as part of the record, if the commissioners would just voice their assent. So there were a number of documents with the intent to supplement the record of the information provided by Ms. Ruhoff today. That would be the criminal complaint as to one of the homeowners in this matter in 71 CR 25261, a copy of the original posting that was referenced by Ms. Ruhoff, the notice letter that was sent dated March 6th, a signed right of reentry to perform abatement assessment, and then the prior Community Health Board resolution from January of 2021. So first, if I may ask if the commissioners would assent to have that be incorporated into the record.
So moved.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Yes, additionally, if I may, maybe some questions for Ms. Ruhoff to also just expand upon some of the information provided, and then knowing that the board is going to potentially have questions as well. Ms. Ruhoff, you talked about the posting occurring on the property under Minnesota Chapter 152. Was that also with the understanding, at least at the time, that there was going to be some following of the guidance of the Sherburne County Methamphetamine Response Protocol?
Correct, we did consult that.
All right, and fair to say that you gained additional information as to how to move forward over and above that initial posting, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and did the posting of the residents take place on March 5th as well?
It did. I personally delivered the posting to the sergeant that was on site, and he posted it.
Okay, so law enforcement made the posting at the residence, is that right? Okay, and it was Captain Grams who contacted you on March 5th to first alert you to this issue, is that right?
Correct.
Now, as you were working through this issue, was it your understanding that the two individuals that resided at the home were at least initially incarcerated, is that right?
They were, yes.
And so did you have some contact with other related family members during this time?
Yes, so the male homeowner's father, Frank Schweitz, is the power of attorney, and so I've met with Frank on numerous occasions, and so has our other staff here. Most frequently on Friday, I gave him an update, and so he's been well aware of the process and has been helping to determine the path forward.
And was there some extension of the 10-day time period that was allowed initially up front? Could you talk about that, please?
Correct. Frank was out of the country and did not return until March 20th. And so knowing that the individuals that own the home were incarcerated and they were not going to likely be able to clean the nuisance, we extended some additional time for that conversation.
And did either of the homeowner or the power of attorney have the ability financially or otherwise to abate the costs up to today's date?
No, up until this point, they have said that that has not been within their means. They're certainly willing to assist with the project, but really do not have the means to pay for a cleaning company to do the remediation.
And you talked about receiving some additional information concerning testing. And so the controlled substances you mentioned, were those part of the testing results you received?
Just for methamphetamine. That was the only test.
Did law enforcement convey some information about testing as well, at least early on?
Yes.
And what was that?
That there was positive methamphetamine on the property in various locations throughout the home and the garage.
Okay. Did they confirm still their belief about the presence of the DMT as well?
Correct.
Mr. Chair, Bruce would like to jump in too if you have a chance.
We'll let Don, would you like to finish?
Yes, just a couple more questions, Ms. Ruhoff. And so you talked about West Central.
Mm-hmm.
Were you aware of then, and I think you might have made reference to another company or entity
Oh.
being involved as well?
So Bay West was the initial company who removed the chemicals immediately from the site, as well as any other equipment, but they did not do remediation work.
I think, Mr. Chair, that was all I had in terms of additional information to provide the board for any consideration on an action they might take.
Bruce?
Yeah, thanks for letting me jump in. Donna has been really helpful in helping Nicole navigate this and kind of get this in front of us. And there's two actions. I think the record will reflect, the complexity of this. Just a couple notes for the board. Once you take action on this as a community health board, if there's a failure by the property owner to clean up, it would become the obligation of the county to do so. Currently, it is not. We are not the banking agency or the private finance agency for cleanups. We've never done that before. But other counties, as you know, historically, when they've had like meth houses and things, have had to do this. But the action today would start a 10-day time period for the owner to come up with a cleanup plan. Should they fail to do so, the community health administrator or health services administrator would have the authority to begin cleanup. We would process that through the best approach to the cleanup and use the normal statutory procurement process to do that. But again, I want to emphasize we're not in the business of financing cleanup because it's convenient or the most expedient for a property owner. We would get in the business of cleaning up if the property owner fails to comply with a statutory notice. That's it.
Mr. Chair, I have a quick question on that.
Rand?
Bruce, are we able to, if we do need to proceed with the cleanup, if the homeowner is unable to accomplish that, would we be able to put that cost onto the property tax statement?
There is a process, and I'll defer to Don to give you the specifics. I'm not sure if we can immediately do a property tax statement or if there's an assessment process. I just want to caution the board, that's a very long process. As you know, with the new state laws regarding tax forfeiture properties, it could be months, if not years, to see recoupment through that statutory process. And I don't believe the county and the taxpayers would ever be made whole. But there is a process. Usually the best thing to do is to work with the property owners and make sure that they are able to clean it up themselves.
Great, thank you.
And Commissioner Danielowski, if I may, yes, there is a statutory provision that requires, or I should say that does permit in these circumstances for an assessment against the property to take place. So there is specific statutory authorization. For any other alternatives to that, my office would need to look at that in terms of how to proceed.
And again, our challenge is, we can't, according to Lorraine, we're not going to be able to charge rate interest on it, the staff time, all of that's not going to be recoupable. So it gets us into a very interesting and a difficult situation. And that's why we follow what we've done with other properties where it's on the property owner to act. Nicole has some ability to schedule a longer timeline than the 10-day if there's reasonable measures. But we really are and should be the last resort. We don't budget for these types of activities. And Nicole's going to have to figure out what is the appropriate level of cleanup. She would have to do that for the property owner, or if we have to do it. The highest level would be to treat this as a meth lab. We're talking easily $100,000. If we treat it as a DMT lab with meth present, it may be less costly for the homeowner or ultimately us to do cleanup. And that's still to be determined, by the Community Health Services Administrator.
All right, thank you for answering those questions. Depending on where we end up, I do think that it is prudent on us if we do end up having to do something that we try to recoup as much as we could at that point for the taxpayers.
Thoughts, questions? My question to you is, do you feel comfortable that the owner's going to be able to clean this up?
I do not feel confident that they will be able to clean it up, but we have set some precedents about what we would require as professional cleanups. Like, these are some preferred vendors that have submitted proposals that we think will cover what we're looking to do to abate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is just gonna be a step process that we're gonna work our way through and see where we end up. But Keisha, can you go back to what the motion is that they're gonna, that we're gonna make here? So at this time, I'll make the motion to approve the resolution number 090-225-AD-3237 to adopt the findings of the CHS Administrator that a public health nuisance exists at Helen Way, Big Lake, and that the notice to abate or remove the nuisance is authorized under Minnesota statute, section 145A.04, subsection 8.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Daniel Ellison, second by Commissioner Felber. Any further discussion?
This is definitely a deal, if I may. This is definitely a thing where we don't want to get into this, but you have to. Somebody has created a toxic dump in the middle of a neighborhood. And if they can't clean it up, we're gonna have to. And that's just really what it all boils down to. And as long as we're crossing all of our Ts and dotting our Is and doing everything the way it legally has to be taken care of, I mean, this is definitely a public health priority.
That a boy. Any other discussion? Brad?
Mr. Chairman, if we could get Keisha to roll up the screen a little bit so I can just see the budget implications. Right there, back down. That's my only question, just so we see that.
Yep.
Hmm?
That would be my point of, depending on where we end up,
Yep.
that we would advocate for our taxpayers at that point.
All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on.
And Mr. Chair, Bruce would like to jump in on this item as well.
You want to jump in first, Bruce?
Yeah, sure. I'll just kind of summarize it for you. Don and Nicole and Amanda and I, in looking at this particular action, and first I should say, these don't come up very often. I think when Amanda was Community Health Services Administrator, she had none in like 5 years. Unfortunately, Nicole's had to deal with 2 now in several months. As you know, we also had the mold house, the presence of mold in a house as well. So I, generically call these red tagging. But what we identified is that in emergent situations, you had not vested the authority for Nicole to act on behalf of the Community Health Board. And we thought it prudent to amend the action that you had taken back when she was first appointed, so that she can take actions and then come back to the Community Health Board and brief you on the situation, so that there's not a delay in a public safety or a public health situation. I would note that what you have in front of you is step 1 of that. We were able to address, and Don can help me with this. We were all basically able to address the indoor public health nuisances. We'll be back with you sometime this fall with addressing the outdoor public health nuisances that may also show up here eventually. But the operative function here is to give Nicole authority to act on the behalf of the board when there's a very time-sensitive or emergency situation that arises. Nicole, do you want to add anything more off of that?
No, other than, most of the public health nuisance referrals that we do get, we are able to work with the homeowners and get them remediated, and really accumulation of trash, animals that haven't been cared for, not this significant. So this has been definitely a learning opportunity for me and across the state. My colleagues have not encountered this as well.
And then Don, did you want to note, I think it's 145A, I apologize, I don't have good notes here. This covers that, but we may be back with some of the outdoor nuisances.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I believe what Mr. Messelt is referencing is that 145A does talk about, and I believe in 145A04, some of the duties and responsibilities of a community health board, and that by resolution, duties can be assigned to or provided to the community health administrator. And so this is just to clarify that authority prospectively going forward.
Okay. That being said, we need to consider approval of the resolution, number 9090225-AD 3236.
I'll make a motion to name Nicole Rudolph as our Community Health Services Administrator under the approval of the resolution number 090225-AD-3236.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Danielowski, second by Commissioner Felber. Any further discussion? Brad?
Mr. Chairman and Administrator, would this be too soon to incorporate non-operational solar panels into community health? I'm saying if you're going to go through all of this stuff that goes through abatement, maybe it was too soon.
You know,
Stay focused.
yes,
I'm
it
still
was,
focused.
Brad,
You need a Snickers.
but let me share with you something, because it's too soon, but it's not. First of all, I got to thank Nicole and Don and Amanda. They've just done an amazing job kind of figuring this out. We are probably the first county in the state to deal with this level of DMT lab. But I will tell you, with respect to solar, there is what's called a public nuisance, which is different than public health nuisance. And it is possible that abandoned solar might fall under that. So you're joking, but it may come back. It's probably too soon today, but I take seriously your thought, you know.
No other comment, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I don't
Congratulations.
know if congratulations is in order or not.
I mean, it could all be Aaron Rodgers' fault. I mean, he's promoting using ayahuasca, and this is a primary component in that, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank
Hollywood.
you, Nicole. for
It's a
being willing
Hollywood.
To do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the work.
Thank you.
Hollywood has brought this to us.
And with that, we'll close the Community Health Board meeting.
Want a motion for that?
And we're going to take 5 minutes.
Okay.
11:15.